time, we'll call the Tuesday, August 24th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Larry McDevitt, Mike Steinis, and myself, Jack Lilly, the county supervisor. We have Lisa Smith and Bjorn Beck from the auditor's office. And first item on the agenda is David Breyer, our county engineer.
Morning, David. Morning.
Morning.
A short agenda. An entrance permit for Robert Schwarm of Bettendorf. He's looking for a Class C farm entrance in Otter Creek Township, section 32 on 204th Street on the north side of the road. That has been reviewed by Roger and recommend approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the Class C farm entrance permit for Robert Schwan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
And then we have approval of the plans and signing of the cover sheet for Iowa DOT for our Iron Hill resurfacing project number FM-C 049:88:55-49. So resurfacing with milling, it's 2.85 miles. Estimated cost is $980,000. Plans would be split into December letting by IDOT, and project would commence sometime next year, depending on the contractor's schedule and where the project would fit in. Could be starting earlier, could go late in the fall. But Mike worked up the plans and specs, and we're ready for supervisor's sign off.
Yeah, I would move to approve that. Sooner the better. I drove it again last week.
Yeah,
It's in tough shape.
I did too.
I drove it slowly.
You'll remember it.
Yeah.
The project will be done to open traffic. There's the concrete section at the, is that Teeters Bridge? That will require closure for time for the concrete to cure. So
Sure.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
that is all I have.
Short and sweet.
So the supervisor needs to sign the cover sheet.
Oh, okay. You want to start, Lisa, with your stuff?
Boy, hold on here. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2021 board proceedings as written by Deputy Auditor Hoy and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's all that I have for the board today. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting, do we want to discuss, it's listed down farther, but the parking at the Haycat building? I talked to Renell this week. She does not want anything done to the parking lot. What she told me she asked Marty is if it was okay if their staff parked in the softball diamond parking lot, which the county owns. Because she says they're starting with Leahy, they're starting with weatherization, and she says they get a lot of people in the office. And so she doesn't want us to do anything to the parking lot that we have now. She just wants permission to park in the grassed area parking lot that they have for the softball diamond.
Okay, so this says possible action on that. Can we take action on that? Just tell her, send her a letter, said it's fine, or
Well,
give her the okay, or what's it?
I think that what I had visited with Marty about is that there's I want to call it a mulberry tree on the west side of the building that has some railroad ties around it. I've asked Marty to clean that up, cut the mulberry tree down, get rid of the ties. And that's, I think, where they want to park at. We just need to get it done. And I discussed that with Marty. I think that's appropriate. The only thing, we would probably have to clear it during the winter time for snow removal. And
Well, she said that it would be nice if when he came down, if he just did one pass. But she says if the snow isn't very deep, he doesn't have to bother.
okay. So, I mean, we've discussed this, because I want those trees and I wanted some cleanup work done down there. Marty and I went down, we took a look. It's just, his time and getting to it. So I guess, I'm not sure that really creates
Is
any.
it on there? Did you put a request in for him or no?
I don't honestly know. I know I have visited with him about it. I don't know if it formally got done. So I guess if that's all that it takes, I guess I can just visit with Marty. I don't see when you need to take official action. I just need to visit with Marty and say, get it done. I know that he's been out to the care facility. I know that they've cut some trees out there. I believe there's still a couple of trees yet to go. There was a discussion with Marty concerning I call them the standing pipes. If we would be better off to hire that done. He seems to think that's going to be very time consuming because you have to dig down, cut them off. Honestly, I guess I don't know what it means. But I don't know who we would call to do that.
I honestly think that it's a project that him and Jared could get together and do. I don't know that now that the grass is so tall, if it shouldn't wait till, we get that down somehow a little bit. Well, I will talk to him about that too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a major issue, and that's what he said before. It's not gonna take- Because the fact, I don't know that they have to go down that far, because they're actually gonna put dirt over top of them, 10 inches or so.
I would think you could cut it at ground
Well, we
level.
put that much dirt in it,
Yeah.
so.
I just know that that was a discussion that I had with Marty and that I would visit with the board as far as your wishes, but. So we do have some unfinished projects here in the courthouse that need to be done, and I know he's got some issues at the sheriff's office that he's been working on. But
And before you got here, you said something to Dave about the parking lot out
oh
here.
yeah, mhm.
And so between him and Alex, they're gonna see if they can't come up with some solution to our problem.
That would be good.
I had talked to Marty a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and I said, did you ever get to talk to Dave? And we talked about having Alex, if we need a diagram so that the contractors are bidding the same thing.
I agree. Yeah,
And they were supposed to get together, so David knows it now.
okay.
So hopefully proceed with that and get something done before we have our next big rainstorm.
Well, and we're getting, I guess this is getting the 1st of September. If we were gonna do something, our window is closing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I see that on the agenda here, 911 radio update. I don't think we've done anything as far as that. I know.
I talked to Lynn yesterday, what's today? Yesterday,
Today's
Friday and
Tuesday.
yesterday, and he asked, of course, if we decided anything, and I said, no, we have not. We're gonna go to our meetings this week and see what happens. I said, what we would like to have them do is have their presentation presented to the municipalities
Mhm,
with police departments, because we're going after law enforcement first.
mhm.
So I said, present that and see what kind of skin they agree to have in the game. They said if there's a percentage of that total 1.7, whatever he was talking about, or 1.3, for radios for all of, I said, if there's a percentage, their percentage, if Macocota Police Department has a percentage. If, as far as dispatch and physical weapons or physical radios, I shouldn't say weapons,
Mm.
physical radios, but I also told him that we would like to have the hospital involved in this. because
Oh, absolutely. I
they
think
have
it
skin in
needs
the
to
game,
be,
so.
it needs to be an effort of all of the departments. Because they're all gonna benefit from it.
Well, I know that I did talk to Lynn yesterday. They are applying for another grant for another project, and we did talk about the radio system, and I believe that they're gonna try and figure out, based on call of service for the last 5 years, I think it is. And if I'm wrong, if this is Brad Corrend, I'm sorry. If it is, if he wants to chime in, but I know that was the discussion that I had with Lynn also, was they were gonna try and figure out those
Yeah,
last 5 year
like what a
averages.
percentage is and how many radios each department would need and
Yeah.
get a number.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
talk to council, of each municipality and ask, where do you stand on this,
And just,
I says, I think we're willing to do something to help out, but we need to have.
Yeah. well, and just kind of not to segue about that, but our interim report is fast approaching. We have started the process to to get our interim report filed. We've got a couple of things that we came across in the report yesterday that we're gonna have to do some further discovery on, I guess. We have a couple of questions, and we're going to be asking a couple of questions to the people when we are in Des Moines this week about that. So I think we should be able to do that deadline. We're-
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We
So-
will be to that.
That's the good news, yeah. And I guess because Luann is gone, if you'd like me to go through your calendar now, or I'd be certainly happy to do it at the end of the meeting.
We can do it at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
There's not much going on with us being in Des Moines the
We're
next
gone
3
all
weeks.
week.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, are there any citizens that wish to address the board? Hearing nothing, I will move on to our next item on the agenda is Brent Kilberg, Jackson County Sheriff. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'll pass a couple things out that you guys want to follow along, you kind of can. Don't necessarily have to. Thanks for taking the time to let me present this morning. Before I make my request, I'd like the opportunity to provide the basis for it. Using a benchmark of August 15th, I'd like to point out that we're 781 calls for service greater than last year at this time. But even with the increase in the calls for service, that doesn't tell the complete story that I'd like everyone to hear. In 2020, there were a total of 305 written reports generated. And as of August 20th this year, we're at 297, essentially the same number of reports as the entire last year with a third of the year to go yet. We're generating more reports than ever in the past, and we aren't just noting that a crime happened, we're actively doing something about it. If we don't, the criminal will continue to prey not only on that victim, but many more in the meantime. We have switched from being a reactive department to a proactive one. With every report, I expect further investigation and follow-up to advance towards prosecution. This takes an enormous number of man-hours in interviewing, surveillance, and writing reports to develop the intelligence required to tie the criminal network together in these cases. Due to these intense efforts, we're making great progress in solving major cases. One recent example I'll talk about is late last Friday night after I left the Clinton Engine Museum. I noticed one of our elusive burglars in the area, and Chief Deputy Crocker and I were able to apprehend him with the assistance of Sergeant Meineke and Officer Heyer from the Macocata Police Department. With this, our department has been able to apprehend all three of this group that has been responsible for a large number of burglaries in our community. The last one has been eluding at least 3 different counties of law enforcement for over 2 months. So it was a big success to apprehend him and put him away. Some other examples are currently we're investigating cases that require coordination and synchronization, not only with neighboring counties, but counties in other neighboring states as far away as South Dakota. We also have major cases like sexual exploitations where we're relying on federal and state agencies to assist us because we lack the capabilities to handle those by ourselves. As one of the sergeants put it, he's never seen every deputy participate and work harder together as a team to develop cases in the past, and yet morale has never been higher either. The troops are working hard because they believe in what we're trying to accomplish. They recognize their relevance and value in the community, and I praise them often for their efforts. I'm all about getting the maximum out of people, but not at the expense of breaking them either. A wise old farmer friend of mine that I nicknamed Wild Man, over the years, he runs nothing but old international tractors, the kind that you can really turn the horsepower up on. The minute he owned them, he turned the horsepower up on them. We were a good team because he worked like crazy, and he said I was the only one that could ever keep up to him. That's why it surprised me one day when he cautioned me about working people too hard. Based on how hard we worked, I never thought I'd hear those words come out of his mouth. He referenced his old red tractors and said, you can run them in the red when you really need to, but you can't do it all the time or you'll burn them out. Downtime from breaking things is not efficient. Okay, I'd like to make some comparisons with other counties in our neighborhood. This is based off a 2019 population census. Delaware County has 17,183 residents. That's 2,218 less than us, but they have 14 deputies. That means each deputy handles 1,227 residents, if you think about it from that perspective. And that's 1,713 less per deputy than us. Cedar County has 18,450 residents. That's 944 less than us, but they also have 14 deputies. That's 1,380 civilians or residents per deputy. And that's 622 less than us per deputy here in Jackson County. Jones County has 20,681 residents. That's 1,280 more than us, but they have 11 deputies. That's 1,880 per deputy, but that's still 60 less per deputy than what we do here. Clinton County has 46,429 residents, but they have 26 deputies. So that's 1,786 per deputy. And that's still 154 residents less per deputy than what our people are accountable for. Jackson County has 19,401. We have 10 deputies, which is 1,940 residents per deputy. So in summary, that's 713 more per deputy than a Delaware County deputy handles, 622 more than a Cedar County deputy, 60 more than a Jones County deputy, and 154 more than a Clinton County deputy handles. In addition to our deputies protecting more citizens per deputy, our senior deputies have a larger amount of paid time off, like vacation due to their seniority and their longevity. Along with this, comp time is earned when deputies have to work overtime due to involvement in major cases or incidents that extend their hours beyond their regular shifts. And also when they cover the manpower shortage created when others take their paid time off, which by law we have to allow them to take. This all causes a domino effect of more time to be covered, causing even more time off earned, which results in a vicious cycle. As of August 11th, I totaled the time off for 9 deputies to be at 4,504 hours, which equals 500 shifts per year. That's equivalent to a deputy taking 1.4 shifts off every day of the year, which in turn causes more overtime to cover those shifts and compounds the problem further down the road. Now, that doesn't mean that every time someone asks for a shift off, we have to cover with overtime. Many times we can cover by asking the deputies to adjust their schedules, and they do that willingly, and I'm very grateful for that. But if you consider the number of hours, the 4,540 or 4,504 the deputies are owed off, that's equivalent to 2.16 full-time employees hours if you use the benchmark of 2,080 hours per year of a normal employee. So with this, I'd like to humbly and respectfully request the Board of Supervisors to allow me to hire 1 additional full-time deputy so that we can continue to serve the citizens of Jackson County to the best of our abilities by meeting their expectations for safety and security. Without the additional manpower, I'm afraid we will get bogged down and slide back into the defensive mode of reactive law enforcement. And I know I wouldn't appreciate that as a victim, nor as a tax-paying citizen. With this request, I would also like to announce that I'm analyzing the pay structure and would like to get away from the high cost of the percentage system that's currently being used, but I need more time to complete my assessment and presentation. I feel the current system is a heavy burden on the taxpayers, and I believe we can add additional coverage while reducing costs and still provide a wage to our deputies that is more than competitive. Under the current system, I can tell you that the deputies' wages are compensated at a higher rate than our neighboring comparable counties.
A lot of good information.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stats here, a lot of numbers to look at. Certainly by the numbers and by percentages and whatnot, it's probably validated. I guess I myself would like to have some conversations with actually your personnel and or our county attorney to see where they're at with cases and such, if they're handling more. Where would we be with the budget? I mean, would this also be considering another vehicle, or are we able to
Well,
have
fortunately,
a spare, right?
yeah, fortunately, as far as vehicles go, we held back the Tahoe the last time and did not trade it in because we didn't feel we'd get the value out of it by trading it in. So we held it back for that reason, and we also held it back because we have 1 other Tahoe in the fleet, and that is for Sergeant Investigator Brandon Beck. So if his vehicle were to get totaled in an accident or have a major issue, he has so much gear that he hauls to crime scenes and stuff that we kind of need a vehicle of that size to, for him to perform at his duty level. So we held on to that for that. So I guess that's been fortunate. We've been kind of using that as our part-time officer vehicle and a spare and a backup to his. So with that, we would just rotate, keep that vehicle in the fleet, and it would become the additional officer's vehicle.
Have you estimated how much is the cost to add an additional deputy? Anybody know?
I think at the hiring rate that we are at now, they hire in at 70%, which I don't think that is going to change under the new pay structure that Brent has been
Right.
looking at. So with that, it's about a $60,000 salary. You look at 18,000 for insurance. If I get NIPERS another 10, so you're looking at about 85, 90,000.
And can we lump that in the current budget for next year? I mean, you're talking, we're just starting the current year, you know, so we don't even know how close we are, probably.
And this is Fund 11 expense opposed to Fund 1, if just for.
And that doesn't mean anything to me unless I know where the bottom number is, I guess.
Well, if it's saving a lot of overtime, that's something to look at too. I mean, you have people going off on vacation, so if you have to kick that in on overtime, that 90,000 or whatever would be less.
Yeah.
How much? Maybe 10,
You know,
20,000, but
right, like I said, the 4,504 hours, that doesn't necessarily mean every one of those hours has to get covered with more overtime, that something covers it. However, if you would consider that in not only the 2,080 hours per year of, you know, that's 2 full-time deputies to cover those hours. But you're right, I mean, if you're gonna pay that in paid time off leave, that adds up quickly, especially at the current pay scale that we're on with the percentages.
You know, as far as budget goes, I guess it's just a thought. You know, along with our ARP money, there's safety allocations in there for that. I mean, for this current year, if the budget was that tight, we could probably even go that route, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm in the same boat you guys are. I've had so much CARES Act and American Fund Relief and all that stuff thrown at me that it's hard to keep track of everything, but I thought now I'm sitting here thinking, I thought there was something, some additional funding for additional manpower or something.
Yeah, it's a safety type.
Supposed to
Yeah,
be.
COVID thing. Yeah.
we'll find out tomorrow.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Well, you know, I honestly think they need to put a hotline in and say, hey, if I got a question, I can call and ask you, is this covered? You look it up and you tell me.
I agree.
You know, I mean, I can't, you can justify Rob Sand saying, well, yeah, do it, document it and turn it in. Oh, that's all fine. Until they say, no, that's not covered, pay me
Till
back.
they
Well,
audit
with
it and
what?
say, sorry.
Yeah, with what? What am I gonna pay you back?
The interim report is very, you should, I mean, I can bring it over and I can show it to you. It says if we've expended any dollars, which line item have you expended it under?
We certainly need to know which line item we want to put that under, yeah, but let's have a list of line items for.
Well, you're gonna
This
see
is
the
what-
list.
I mean, I looked at that detailed report that come out that Nick said it sent too, and it's pretty detailed, you know, it'll tell you exactly which portion of it will kind of cover. But, you know, you look outside the box on some of them, you say, well, that's safety, you know, that's water, that's sewer, whatever it may be, you know, but.
One of the questions that we have is our revolving loan fund, if we have to claim that as income. It is and it isn't. We've kind of gone back and forth. So that's a question that we need to get. Because we're trying to look at the 4% growth. One of the things that I want Shelley to look at. So we're using their formula, and that's a big question if we have to
So
use
what's income, just the interest that we're getting on
what
it?
we have plus the payments that we receive.
What we have was put in a
Wow.
long time ago.
I
don't
know that, but how does the government look at it? The federal government look at it? So we need to get that
How do
clarified.
they look at anything?
What?
Well, yeah, I would certainly think that if we had to, we could look at this as a safety type.
Well,
I mean,
that's,
I sent you the email that come through that somebody bought a car with ARP money.
Yeah, they were buying, I think they bought 11 squad cars, didn't they?
And I don't know, I didn't read it that close.
What? You said it to me to read.
It was your
Yeah.
department.
what's your point, Brad?
You would read it if you said it to me.
This might qualify for
Hey,
people to read.
look at this. No, I read it. Yeah, they were replacing like 11 squad cars with that money.
Did they share squad cars before?
Um,
I guess otherwise, how does that qualify? I get it if they were sharing squad cars.
If they're buying new, not replacing.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
Again,
maybe
the
they were hot seating.
The
the squad
hotline
cars.
should say, yeah, nay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Not that it matters, but I think they were purchasing like 11 additional, which is like,
yeah.
that'd be pretty
50,000
small.
apiece.
I
yeah.
guess one of the questions I would have, Brad, is when do you think that you're going to be at a point when you can discuss your salary ranges with the board?
Yeah, so Labor Day is screwing me up. I just looked in the calendar, so everybody's off on Labor Day, right?
Yes.
Everybody but you guys.
Yeah.
So next week I'm out of town at a MOCIC conference. Yeah, I mean, well, you guys are going the next 3 days, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so.
Yeah.
I had hoped to put something together maybe for that board meeting Tuesday morning, but, you know, if it has to wait a week after that, I guess. That we can do that too, but I'd like to meet that week then.
So you're saying September 7th?
After Labor Day.
Yeah, September 7th is the next meeting, right? So then,
So the next meeting is actually the 31st, but then
well, I'm
you'll
gone
be gone. So
Yeah.
then the next meeting would be September 7th.
the 7th, but I mean, I'm gone next week. You guys are going the next 3 days. I'm gone the next week, and then Labor Day is the holiday,
Yeah.
So, I might be able to present it that 7th at that meeting, if that's what you guys want to do, or if you want to have a working group session so we can really dig into it and ask more questions and spend more time on it. We could do that, but we'd probably have to wait until after that meeting then, and then do it, present it
Do
the
you-
following week.
Do you know exactly who you think we should talk with?
I guess personally, I just like to get the feel of some of your deputies or personnel, you know, and say, you know, how is it going? Basically, and are you guys burned out? Are you getting burned out, or what? Do you need the help, or, you know, I mean, I know you say you have a lot more cases and a lot more, are we prosecuting a lot more cases than two? Is Sarah gonna tell me that, yeah, we're prosecuting twice as many as that means to me that you need more help, yeah.
Yeah, so some of the cases are, so this last one, we just picked up that last burglar, so now
Yeah.
that case is getting wrapped up now. Matter of fact, Sergeant Beck's in her office right now. We gotta compile some reports before tomorrow morning to kind of put that package together. There's a couple other hanging out there that we're still working with Clinton County and a county in South Dakota, and there's other ones that I won't say too much, but we're still developing, they're still being built, and even like that sexual exploitation case, that's not ready to come to prosecution yet. So there's a lot more, we're just doing a lot more follow-up and investigating. than
Well,
what's
I
been
know
done in the
you're doing a
past.
lot more training too, as far as that goes.
Well,
I've heard that before, but then I've heard that from
yeah, but
Jack's side of the mental health department that said that, stated that.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly do not want to kick the can down the road here. That's what we've done in the past a lot of times on things, and I certainly don't want to do that. I just, you know, I need to think, I think we need to figure where we're gonna come with the budget with it, if we're okay with
Well,
using
absolutely, that's
some
the key-
ARP money
key
or
point.
whatever, you know, I'm not opposed.
We have to be able to sustain it. That's why I'm not,
Well, I
I'm not
know,
sure that you
but,
want to, yeah.
but it's not in the budget till this year, so that's what I meant. If we could get by with it this year and then put it in the budget next year, then we're not using ARP money next year.
We're going to have to just amend.
Yeah.
If you, whatever your decision is, and I know we don't like to do that.
Well,
Well, we
not
don't
this
like to,
early
but
in the
sometimes
ballgame.
Well,
we
that's
have
what I'm,
to.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So you know what, I guess, knowing what I've learned here today, we'll go back, we'll take a look at the budget and,
Well, and that comes into play too, I guess, but yeah, like you said, we can amend it, but you know, we're in August. When the
Yeah.
budget started in July, so.
And to answer your question as far as how my personnel feel, they're actually the ones that came to me about it.
Well, I
I-
suspect that. That
Yeah,
would
and
be
I sure
answer.
didn't want to come in here in my first 8 months of being in the office and ask for this yet anyway. Because, you know, we're trying to earn it and try to prove it that we're, you know, we're deserving of it. And don't get me wrong, there's deputies I'm still working on that I'm trying to, you know, get a little more performance out of them. But there's some where it's like, I'm gonna break them if I don't back off them, and we just got too much stuff going on and they're working their tails off and, you know.
Well, we certainly need them to be safe also. So, I mean, that's the priority here, if they're working alone, or if they got backup, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's just all the, you know, some calls don't require any follow-up, they don't require any more than going there, resolving the issue, all right, we're out of here, we're done. But when you have a case that requires all this investigating and all the follow-up and tying all the loose ends together and preparing that package, probably better than it's ever been in the past, to the county attorney, to where it's like, okay, now we can prosecute. One of this ring of 3 burglars, one of them's already up in state prison, the other one's in our jail. And the third one we had to take to Jones County because we can't have those guys co-defending in the same jail, or our case is down the drain. Like I said, we've got another couple major ones we're working on, but I don't want to say much about them because I don't want it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we just need to take this under consideration, get some additional information from you. Let Shelley and her staff look at how we would finance it, and we'll, obviously, as Mike said, we're gonna hear some stuff tomorrow about the rescue plan and CARES money, and we'll talk again on the 7th of September.
So how's the timeline once we decide to get somebody hired?
Well, I'd like to move on it as quick as possible to get that additional person out on the road to help alleviate some of that stress on the schedule and people. So in the past, deputies didn't get denied time off from what I'm being told. So what they do is they just work short. And if that meant one person was covering the entire county by themselves, that entire shift, that's what they did. Today's day and age, that's a little risky. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't believe in that. I don't go along with that.
I don't think that's a smart move.
I don't think. other
So how are
agencies
we
do.
standing with our civil service? Are we?
Do we have a list now?
We do have a list, yeah, and there's,
So
there's 3 on the list, there's 2 I've been holding off on patiently from talking to making an offer. Just because this kind of came up in the works and thought, well, maybe now's the time to do this. When we looked at the pay schedule and the structure and stuff, and thought maybe this is the time to do it.
Maybe, yeah. Will this have an effect on our courthouse security officer? Just asking.
Well,
You asking for a friend, you're saying? Yeah.
we will still have a courthouse security officer. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, I get it. I just-
Something more specific.
I mean, yeah, no.
On the 7th, do you want that for official action or just a work schedule, a work session?
I would say
Either.
possible action.
I mean, we can actually put it on possible action for a week from now. I mean, you don't have to be here. I mean, we can still act if we got the information that we need.
Oh, yeah, I guess as far as that goes, as far as the request about the additional officer. Now, when it comes to the pay scale, I think I will need some time to sit down with you
I
guys and
certainly think you will.
work through that. Yeah, because I don't want that to just be
I mean.
thrown
you're
out there. I
involved
think
with
I
that.
want people to understand.
Absolutely.
No, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think that has a lot to do with what you're asking for the deputy. I think if that's something that you need to look at, or you feel you need to look at, we need to look at too, but now we need to decide if, of course, you need this personnel and how we're gonna pay for it.
That's our main.
Yeah.
Concern.
I was gonna say, I would just assume then, because of all of us going to Des Moines, I really don't want to discuss it next Tuesday. Because Shelley and I are both going to Des Moines. You're all gonna be in Des Moines and we're just not gonna have enough time to take a look at it.
We
So,
won't have the information we need.
No, so really the 7th works better for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you're okay with that.
So you will, on the 7th, discuss the additional duty or deputy, and then sometime after that, we'll get together in a work session and discuss.
I mean, even if we
Okay,
have it
so-
on the agenda, we can table it.
Yeah.
So, if we put it back.
I would say if you have information for us before the 7th that we can at least look at, that would be great. If you can't, you can come that day and discuss it with us. And if we choose to or not to take action, that'll depend on what we learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's kind of 2 different issues, but they're tied together, I guess.
Yes,
is-
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's long term.
It all boils down to money.
I get it. I can appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, Frank.
Yep, thanks. Look forward to do good things. All right.
Hey, Becky, will you go up back up there? Would you ask Christina if she'd want to come down?
Come down now. Sure.
I have Nathan till 10. And this time.
He's in my office, right? I think Nathan, no, that was Scott. Never mind, the state guy, yeah. I get him confused.
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you guys this morning?
Living the dream.
So I put together a little packet here of the zoning and GIS updates. This mostly just covers zoning, because I didn't have too much to update on GIS. But I can answer any questions if you have any. So the page 1 at the top, I show the process for obtaining a permit. Just kind of wanted to put that out there just so that you guys are all aware of what that looks like for me. I know it's kind of small font, but just again, kind of have more transparency.
You know, it's just wonderful to
Yeah.
have this additional information.
Yeah, good.
A+.
No, I haven't had time to look this over or digest it either, but just look in the process, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 8 or 9 steps there.
Yeah.
Are you saying you're swamped?
I am.
Is that what this
Exactly.
says?
Yeah, and I didn't even put it on the nuisance part because I didn't have time to do that. But yeah, I just wanted to show like what the workload is and what it takes, like interacting with citizens and, things like that.
Well, it'd be interesting for the public to know,
Yeah.
the step by step that you have to follow. too.
Sure, yeah,
I think it's great information.
yeah. Do you want me to go through it a little bit or?
Sure, but yeah.
Okay, sure, sounds good. So I guess starting off, typically I'll receive a phone call or somebody will walk into the office, just kind of asking some general questions about what they can do with their property or what they're interested in doing and how they can make that work with the site that they have. And then I'll give them the application, they can fill it out in my office or it's available online on our website and then they can email it to me or, mail it in, whatever works best for them. So then I'll receive that application. I'll just kind of make notes I have a document, an Excel document that has almost all of the building permits throughout all of history, which is awesome. And really helpful for me. The most important information that I need for zoning is the setbacks, the height. I need to see a site plan, building plans, that not only helps me, but that helps the assessor's office and the health department too, to understand that the septic sizing and then how to assess the value of the property. I also have to make sure that they do talk with the health department if they need to put in a new well or septic and make sure that they understand that and are beginning that process. They also do need to have a 911 address and an entrance permit if they don't already, so they need to work with the engineering department on that as well. And so I just make sure that all of those steps are completed too before I go ahead and continue with the permit. If the application is complete, then I can go ahead and inspect the property and make sure that it's in compliance, that there's no nuisances or anything like that, and then I'll go ahead and approve it. If the application is incomplete, then I just have to contact the applicant and get a couple more details. Typically, it's the setbacks that people don't fill out, and that's kind of the one thing that I really need. And then also sometimes I'll just get an application without a site plan, things like that. So just giving people a call, getting that additional information. And I'm willing to help them too with it. And we can use the Beacon website to get estimates of all of that stuff.
So is there a line on there for the cost of the project?
There is, yep, there's an estimated value,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
there's a line on there for that. And then I just complete paperwork, so construction compliance certificate and then an official notice so that when they start construction, they can put that on an exterior wall or window somewhere on the property so that people see it and know that they are approved to do the work that they're doing.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah, so then I will scan all of that and send it to the assessor's office, once everything is complete, and then also contact the applicant, call them, let them know that it's available for pickup at my office, or if they don't come to Macokota very often, I'll just mail it out to them. And then the last part is re-inspecting for an occupancy certificate, which doesn't actually apply to single family homes. The ordinance states that single family homes don't need that occupancy certificate. So that's kind of, that final step is the challenging part, just knowing when that happens, when they're completed construction. And then also getting the time to go out and and inspect it. But it is important to do to make sure that people are, sticking to what their application is.
So how many times do you physically go out and look at one project in progress? And I mean, 2 or 3 times while they're doing it, or no?
No, just once before they do it. And yeah,
Before and after? To see
before,
it's in compliance.
yeah, right, exactly, but not during.
Okay.
And then, yeah, there's, the process, some things I would like to change a little bit. It's just kind of getting a feel for it and, I guess getting a sense of how much time do I really have to go out and
Sure.
do all of that. Yeah, so then the table below shows a chart of all of the permits. I think that I did realize I had a little bit of an addition error for the months of June and August. So there's actually 9 in June, 7 permits in July, and 6 in August. So principal uses or structures, new homes, and accessory uses and structures are the most common, which if we go to the next page. I just kind of broke this down a little bit more to show the permits for year to date. There's been 68 permits total, and that's including farm exemptions, which aren't really permits, but it's just a new construction that I want to document. So the majority are for accessory uses and structures and principal uses.
So the farm ones, so they don't need a permit, but aren't they supposed to contact you
Yes, yeah, I
for
would,
setbacks and different things like that?
yeah, and actually, so with the farm exemption, the setbacks don't apply to them.
No.
Yeah. So I just have them fill out an application stating that the main use of the property is for farming, and there's a couple different criteria, and then I kind of review it and send them a letter saying that they're approved for farm exemption.
I gotta back up here a little bit. So they do have to apply by some setbacks as far as road
They have to-
right of ways and, yeah.
Yes, they have to comply with the secondary roads department and the health department, but not the zoning setback requirements. And that's
had
for
one-
agricultural buildings,
We had
homes.
one in northern Jackson County, right on the Dubuque line. And Dubuque's part of it is blacktop. And you can see the right of way and everything, and all of a sudden they want to stick this building, I mean, clear out here, coming down the gravel road, just off the gravel road, and when you look down at it, if we ever pave it, you go right through that building, I'm like, something's missing with that backset or the
The,
right away.
yeah,
Well, it was different, the highway is 66 foot, and county road is 33.
okay,
So that's where it was, they were right up on the 33 part.
Hmm.
So, I don't know, I would think there should be a little more control over the permits, where they're putting the buildings. A lot of times they get really close to the road too.
yeah. I do mention that, they can't be in the right of way. They should talk with secondary roads as far as access and everything too. And 911 addressing, I guess I'm not really sure if they're required to. It seems like several of them hadn't had 911 addresses in the past. But I would definitely prefer that they do.
I thought they had to.
I don't think unless there's a residence there, right? Is that right, Bjorn? I think as far as the fire department goes and emergency EMS, I think they don't really need to require a 911 address unless there's a residence there.
What about buildings? I mean, you could still have a fire with
I would
that.
agree, yeah. I don't
Well,
know.
we've
There's
had some
something-
people that have had machine shops or something that was away from their residence
Electricity.
who have requested them, and we get one.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that they're required for like a shop, a machine shed, barn even. But I don't think if
I
they
think
wanted
there's
it. I
something to
don't
do with
think-
electricity too, even, something that they may require, something that they have.
Okay,
For a billing address.
I read it somewhere, but I can't.
okay, yeah.
Could have been 45 years ago. I don't know. I
Yeah.
got a question, Christina, on
Yeah.
this chart. It says floodplain 9%.
Yes.
That, I don't know what that means, but I know recently we received a email stating that the floodplain thing is going into effect, and we had a list of changes in our county. Were them people on that list notified that?
I don't know. if
I
they were.
remember we talked about this early on.
I
We
think,
talked to the guy from Kansas City.
Yep.
Who was
Yeah.
really informational.
Mhm.
And we had a list of people that were on that. Now, it wasn't a large list, but
Yeah,
I know we put it in the paper and told them that you had the right to dispute and right to, what's the right word, to file.
Appeal.
Yeah,
yeah.
appeal, yeah.
I
So,
believe Heather did send out letter. I got a letter because mine's right on there.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
think she
wondering because I know.
individually Sent letters out to each person. In question,
Yeah.
besides the letter,
I mean, there was a 2-page list, there's like 50 people on the list.
Okay. Yeah, I can look into it to see if I have records
I don't
of
remember
it.
who that email come from.
The FEMA, I think.
It might have been.
I think it was.
I mean,
So
I
something
know
That's
to
who
do with
was
your
here. I
house
mean, that's
insurance too.
Yeah, but
yeah.
the deadline for appeal is now
It's over.
up.
It's
yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We did receive, and I think you may probably got an email also, that we'll have to change our ordinance.
Yeah,
We'll be working. with
yeah,
that.
that's what I meant. Yeah,
That just came within the last week.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then I received a call from the DNR and they are contacting some of the smaller communities to talk to them about the maps and such. And
I think they even had a sample ordinance in it, correct? Or was-
This last email did not.
It did, yeah, it didn't have a sample ordinance. Jason Kahn with the DNR is gonna work with us on getting that new template together for the county.
Okay, I
Some
thought I
of the
read one in
requirements.
there.
I didn't see one in there. I did reply with what I have as our current. ordinance.
And that's who called me.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
tell you.
sorry.
No, that's. fine.
Tennessee wasn't that horrible.
Oh, it's
Goodness.
horrible.
So can you tell me what that 9% floodplain means?
Yeah, so 9% of the permits that I have approved were floodplain permits. I haven't approved any structures in the floodplain. These are mostly stream bank stabilization
Oh,
or,
I see.
yeah, one was a local government doing some work as well too. So I actually did recently talk with somebody who has a cottage out in the Mississippi River on Army Corps of Engineers property. And he was contacting me about getting a floodplain permit, and I was like, I don't even know if I have jurisdiction over that because it's Army Corps of Engineers property in the Mississippi River, but I will be getting something from him as well.
They just want to make it easier for you to go fishing. Make a nice flat place for your chair.
Yeah, cabin in the river, you have to go, you just stick your pole out the window. Front porch.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
has to have a place to put his grill so he can
Ah,
grill some of that beef he won.
Oh, I did win. You gotta play to win.
Where was that at?
Together we build.
Together we build.
He won the quilt, he won the meat, and I got
You
nothing.
got,
You gotta play to win, right?
I guess.
You do. Okay, so then on page 3, I have a list of the nuisances that I received so far. I guess just to highlight, I have gotten 2 new complaints that I still have yet to investigate. One is with a country called Makokata, and then the other one was like tall grass and weeds out there. The other is kind of a more interesting one. It has several complaints about barking dogs and trailers on a property and different things like that. And some of it is just not a nuisance according to our ordinance, but I did contact the police department to get their help on it, to see if there's anything I can do. So.
I sure wish you could do something in the city of Macomb.
150, oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that one,
Actually, I think it got a little better.
did it? Okay.
Yeah, I just happened to be driving by and I was driving by slow,
Mhm.
but last week, me and my wife were.
Well, when I was by it, there was nothing in the ditch.
Yeah,
The property still looks like hell,
Mhm.
well,
but
actually, the problem that I see with some of it is, and there was another location I was gonna bring up, but that's close to it, but it's not on the highway, it's just on a short little dead end gravel road. But there's vehicles that's been there a long time
Yeah,
in the ditch.
okay.
So they're off of the right of way, off of the road, the gravel road, not the right of way, but so I guess it's kind of a liability to us in a sense.
Yeah,
And the same way with on 150, if there's a wagon or a trailer or something full of items, you know, it's
yeah.
miscellaneous, we call it in the auction business. But, you know, if it can be moved or can be disposed of, or it would make it look much better, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think the couches and things are gone, if I remember right.
yeah, the burn pile is not there
I was
anymore
gonna say, yeah, the burn.
with the
pile.
framework of the recliner.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I had sent a letter through certified mail. I got that letter back, not signed or opened or anything, so the next step would be go take some more photos and see what the conditions are, and then contact the police department to have them deliver the notice. So that
That's probably a cost to us, correct?
it is a cost. I did contact PD. They said it's about $19.
No, we need to
that area.
follow up with it anyway.
Absolutely.
So you are getting some compliance with these.
Some, yeah.
Some, yeah.
Some.
Well, I guess on the other side of it, don't stretch yourself on it. If they're not, then we just do our job and let somebody else do it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
let them go clean it up. We'll give them a letter and charge them.
Yeah.
About that simple, if we follow up with it, you know.
Yeah,
I hate to be the bad guy, but
but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You legally have to keep your animals in your lot, on your premise.
what do you mean by animals? Cows?
I suspect you're going to get a phone call, is what I'm
Okay.
saying. I believe there may be some pigs or hogs out that are rooting up. And it looks like it's one of your closed cases.
Oh, okay.
I think there's some animals running loose that are rooting up the lawn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I saw some pictures last night.
Maybe they're hungry.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that. I was thinking about years ago when we were on the farm. We used to have to go from one end of our property to the other end, which was about, each way was about a half mile. So we'd have, one of us would have to go half mile away and you let the cows all out there. They ate the ditches and we just, when they got to us, we turned around, they went back the other way. And they just ate the grass in the ditches. Kept everything cleaned up,
We used to tie our horses out in the ditches
Yeah.
after it rained, because if it's dusty, then they'd wear down their teeth, but after a nice rain, we tie them out, they clean up the dishes. for 'em.
I guess I think it'd be in an animal owner's best interest to keep them on their property,
I suspect they're gonna get a phone call.
Okay.
Something like that is.
Well, my
Okay.
time
Probably
is on
damage, I would think that's
216.
They are.
issue. Is there something in the ordinance about damage? Probably been somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure we have an animal control. ordinance, don't we?
I would brush up on it.
Yeah.
But I remember
Okay.
216th Street, how many, if you're running down that to go to school or something, how many cattle were on that road? I mean, it was on a regular basis, and cows were out.
And then I have page 4 on this last page. I just wanted to discuss some subdivisions in Jackson County. I'm not really sure where to begin with it, because I've gotten a lot of phone calls and questions recently. This is in the Roy Cheney subdivision, which is north of Bellevue,
Mhm.
between Offshore Resort there and the Dressler subdivision. So this is from Beacon, but it's just the lots that were originally platted there. Most of the homeowners who have developed in, I guess, more recent years, including like the 80s, typically have combined their lots, so they have two lots, because most of these are about quarter acre size. And just because we can't really fit private well and septic on all of those, they've purchased two lots and combined them. I don't know if that was a policy or a requirement or anything that the county had done or not.
I think it was
So the history on Spruce Creek a little bit is that when they, a private developer developed that, and so when them lots were put in, of course, they weren't large enough to provide for well and septic distance
Yeah,
wise.
yeah,
And actually, I got a call on this yesterday, I was gonna stop something about. But now, as Larry knows, and I read just last week, they had a special meeting again. So Iris has come in and they come up with a plan for USDA getting grants for this, and they're putting a whole new water system out there.
yeah,
So, but
In Dresslers, but not in Cheney's. Right?
now,
Right.
most of them are compliant in Cheney's, I think, aren't they?
most, I mean, as far as I am aware, I think most are. There are two lots that are for sale that are those original smaller size lots that I mean, from a zoning standpoint, they're legal non-conforming. They were platted before the zoning ordinance, so they don't fit within the zoning ordinance, but you could still build on it as long as you can have your private well and septic, whether it's a shared well, you know, whatever, if you can come up with an agreement, it doesn't matter to me. They're buildable from my standpoint, just as long as the health department can approve that.
And there's a lot of shared wells.
Yeah.
I mean, and we do that, where I live out in the country here, where
And there's no.
there's probably four of us in
Nope.
one well.
There isn't, no,
But we all have 2 to 3 acre, or most of them are 2 acre lots.
yeah.
So your reason for showing us this, is there a problem?
Oh, there's just a lot of questions and a lot of concerns. I think that a lot of residents there are a little bit concerned about inconsistency. And, you know, also asking questions about combining and subdividing lots within here. I guess from a personal standpoint, I'm not, or maybe not really personal, but a zoning standpoint, I'm not a huge fan of combining and subdividing within a already platted subdivision. Here, I understand that the combining part was necessary to get private well and septic and everything. I guess, I was hoping that we could have more of a process for people to do lot combinations and subdivisions within an already platted subdivision.
So it would be something like a variance or something to the effect they'd have to come to the zoning board and
Something like that, yeah.
make sense.
I guess we don't like this setup either,
Yeah,
but there's nothing we could do about it.
I'd say most of these in the Cheney are okay,
Yeah,
except for a few down along the main channel or down along the river there. Right?
along the river, it looks like, I mean, it looks like those are larger lots. Along the river.
7A.
So is that on private property or is that
Oh,
on lease?
oh, yeah.
No, that's private property.
I see, yeah, I have a couple other maps here. This is, so that's what was platted, and then these are what is existing today. So that lot 7 in block 5 is actually combined. So it looks like it's probably 6 and 7.
Okay. There's one in there that's small and is there an building encroachment close to one of them
The setback.
that I don't see the bill, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks really close on that one. I'd have to look at the records to see
I mean,
what
I
they
don't
say.
see the person that called me, I don't see the building that he's talking about, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for,
probably not on this picture, they probably stopped new.
it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is new. And that one is, yeah, the result of lot combinations. And then
But it was approved
It
before.
was approved, yeah, yeah. So that, yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about too. I had gotten a complaint about a building that was approved last year. It's not something that I probably would have approved. But
Did it need a variance? Did it go through the board?
no.
Or did, okay, so the last zoning administrator just approved.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I actually talked to Sarah about it just to kind of see what, if there's anything that the county can do on it. There are covenants in this subdivision that give property owners, the ability to take action if they choose to. I think that there was some confusion about whether those were expired or still active. Cause
Did they actually get a permit to do it?
they did.
Yeah,
they
And
did.
I actually think there was a discrepancy about where the property line was before or something.
Okay,
Are you talking about a garage that turned into? Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I know where that's at.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I got a lot of work to
I'm glad you're having fun.
do.
So how's everything going with your new partner in your office?
It's going pretty well. Yeah,
Well, she's not there.
she's it's been
bad.
quiet, but
I mean, that's not good news either.
So thank you for the little map of the lake.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, perfect. It really shows.
Not yet.
Good.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, will you be here? Are you out? Are you going out? Yeah.
I'll be there. Thank you.
You can tell Nathan he can come in.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't know how much time the reports take, but they're really nice reports, and I've never seen one
I
like that.
bet they don't take.
Now that you got the-
If you know what you're doing.
Now, if you got the
probably
data,
doesn't-
Aaron, you got the data put in there.
Morning,
Good morning.
Morning.
And how are you two today?
Good.
Yeah.
Enjoying the warm weather?
Well-
No.
They've been starting at 6 to avoid the warm weather.
Yeah.
Heat advisory today.
Yep. So, I don't know if Jeannie wants to start. She's kind of got some letters that she wanted to run by you guys.
Yes, for the news media, we're joined with Nathan Jones, Jackson County Conservation Director, and Jean Colin Hunter, Jackson County Weed Commissioner.
Okay, last time I was here, I was gonna talk with a couple counties and see kind of where they were at, commissioner wise, and I called Clinton County and, got routed to the engineer's office. Well, they no longer have a roadside person. It's just secondary roads now. That's what I'm getting out of the engineer's office, and it's just their engineer is the weed commissioner.
They do have a spraying program though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe they have that. Just must be through their secondary roads office.
That's what I understood.
I can't remember what Tony told us that time.
So I ended up talking with Jones County, and that was Wes Gibbs, and he's their weed commissioner and roadside guy. And he's very informative. He talked about, he said the letters here, he said he kind of sends out a warm fuzzy letter first before he sends the notices, and he said it's been very effective. He said he's never
Good.
had to send the notices after he sent the initial letter. So I don't know if that's kind of the route you guys maybe were wanting to go, maybe try some.
I would like, I mean, I think it sounds good.
Well,
I
I think
think
we
that-
just need to start somewhere.
Yeah,
We
that's-
need, we need to have a process in line or agenda to say this is what's happening.
I guess it's, up to you how aggressive you want to be serving notices and.
Well, we'd like to be friendly, but we want
Right.
it taken care of if they don't comply. Period.
And friendly we should be because we have a lot of our own properties that are a mess.
And, right, we've had a few complaints and they've been right away complaints, so. So, yeah, we're guilty too, I guess.
Yeah, I think the warm and fuzzy's fine,
Okay,
and with the time frame, and if the warm and fuzzy doesn't work, then you gotta get the mixer out.
okay, and that's, yeah, we'll get something together then and go that route.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, I guess on that end, Jeannie's been out spraying brush finally now. She's kind of switched from the
invasive
Yeah.
annual and perennial weeds to sumac and,
Was that new sprayer?
you know, she's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
So we're gonna see.
nice machine.
Nice, you like it?
I do.
Good, I'm glad to hear it's getting used.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's her newest thing is, and you got a chainsaw too, you
Yep.
been clipping a little bit of brush. And off the hot for running a chainsaw, let's say,
Yeah,
On a daily
yeah.
basis, so. That's probably about it for you.
Most of our plants are gone to seed, so that's kind of a. So about out to brush now.
Well, at least we're starting to tackle it a little bit and
Yeah.
get a handle on it. I mean, it's gotten away from us in the past. But
It's
at
easy to
least we can
happen.
see progress. Huh?
You know, start seeing some, just so. Yeah, for us, other than that, I don't know if you guys have been north of town, some of our big projects have started moving. Dirt work has started on the trail across the prairie there at the center.
I've not seen that.
So, all of last week they were moving dirt out there.
I saw that.
Did I see that the bridge had to be widened for safety? Something?
Well,
The
no,
railing had to be raised for
the
bicycles.
rail,
Oh, the rail.
yeah, which I never would have caught that. Alex caught it, I guess. To be a bike trail bridge or whatever. To meet the specs, the railing had to be raised to 54 inches, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that number, from the 48 we had. Which ended up costing us another $1,500 on top because of the steel cost. But,
Well, we certainly want to be in compliance if you're.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
that did cost us and raised the price a little bit on that. Bridge is on its way. Schrader's got his stuff kind of in line. We started the dirt work for Schrader's section of the trail, even with the guys that were out there. So if you go up there, you'll see a raised platform across the prairie all the way out to the edge of the marsh, right where the bridge is gonna hook into the corner. They're hoping after that, they were gonna be there today with rock to start laying the rock down, but after the rain yesterday and the day before. Last I heard yesterday, they were planning on trying to be here Friday to start laying rock and compacting it, and maybe next week start pouring the concrete for the path itself on that trail. So, that's kind of, I'm glad that's finally starting to move. I think that's been on, you guys probably heard about well before I started here.
Parks to people, 3 years ago we were.
Yeah, so at least something's happening there. Another thing we had was that fishing pond build fish grant through the state of Iowa over at our Packey Wildlife area. We bid that out. Erie Construction got that bid. We did some minor adjustments from where our engineer had it. With his plans, I think it was 56,000 if we followed exactly what the engineer. We've adjusted the tube and are gonna do a little spillway work. It's down to 37,000, yeah, just shy of 37, I think, wasn't it? For that, which actually is pretty cool. That it's exactly where the grant money had it, so. We were gonna have to go into that trust a little bit for that, and now we won't have to.
Oh, that's great.
How's that project coming?
So
Haven't been down there.
they haven't done any work yet, but
On the dike at all?
no, he's thinking of moving equipment in the next 3 weeks when I talked to him the other day, so. He thinks he can get that done in a week. He's planning on 3 dozers and. It's gonna
How
move,
big was that? Remember?
well, it's
3.5 or 4 acres.
4-acre pond. They're gonna have to move just shy of 20 cubic yards of dirt to. Build the dike, so. There's currently a pond there. The new water level is gonna be the current pond dike's elevation pretty much, so. Hopefully we can start getting some rain after we get it done. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but. That's kind of our big things we've got going here lately. Kind of closing up.
Camping season should be good.
I would say we're making pretty good money.
You got air conditioning?
Yeah. Sabila's still
slow. I don't know what's
Huh.
going on there.
That's usually
From-
full.
From last summer, it was full almost every day, all summer long, to this summer. I would say it's been 60%,
Yeah.
probably, maybe. I don't know. You hear different reasons from different people. I don't know. You can never pinpoint
Sure.
what it is. I think we're still gonna actually come out as revenue. We're probably gonna come out ahead since we got rid of the coupon books. We're still honoring those that were bought last year. But I did the math last year and I think we lost almost $20,000 by selling coupon books. The way we were doing it for that. So now we got rid of them. Next year, we'll really see that benefit, but I think, our revenues, even if we're not full, we're gonna be sitting where we are. Now anybody can, I guess, we aren't getting complaints this summer that there's never any sites for people to come from out of area. Spruce has been, still quite a bit bigger campground, but it's been holding 50% probably on the weekends, if not a little more. So, 3,000-4,000 a weekend probably coming in revenue there, so. Alex has started doing some. With Spruce, he started doing our quotes so we can put in for the state's. What I call marine fuel tax money for the boat ramp. He's getting me a quote together and a preliminary design to redo that boat ramp on the.
So did Griff work with the city when they got theirs grant for their road?
Scotty Gritters.
Scotty
would have-
Ritter did,
And
yeah.
he'll work with us on that one,
Yeah.
once we get a kind of preliminary design together and cost estimate. I don't know what it's gonna be. We got a couple hoops we're gonna have to jump through. I don't know how it ever happened. When that parking lot was built, one edge of corner of it's on a neighbor, in the roads, even on the neighbors through there. So we're gonna have we wanna extend and make the parking lot bigger, but we also have to deal with. If we're gonna do this right, I don't know how we're gonna work with it when it's not on actual county, well, core owned property there. So,
Squatters rights are still in effect.
yeah, I don't think that neighbor's had any problems or anything, and actually it benefits him quite a bit, I think, with his rentals along there. But that's gonna be expensive in that boat ramp. I don't know if you guys get complaints. We do. It's broken off currently. Try to fill it with rock and just over time that washes out every time somebody prop washes it with a boat motor or something. So that one, hopefully we can get that grant. I would think we'd be high up on the list in the state just because it's one of the most popular ramps on the river.
Sure.
So Alex has started that. He's also started putting together some designs and cost estimates for the middle part of the trail here at Hurstville. It's gonna be expensive. Hopefully we can get some grants to get that moving. If I'm gonna have to try to sit down with those neighbors again and see if I can just convince them one more time before we go forward with the. I hate this thought of doubling the cost of a project if we can do it for. Half, 250,000 instead of 500,000 or something. So that'll be the next step on that.
It really is unfortunate.
Yeah, we'll see. Sounds like that neighbors may be tired of people asking him about it. Everybody's picking on him and he just gets mad now when somebody approaches him on it. So I haven't talked to him for a while. Maybe him seeing the new trail section going, maybe he'll.
Isn't that a lot of that also in the floodplain, the new floodplain now?
Yes.
Yes, yep. And I don't know if that new floodplain's been,
It's done.
But it's in
That
now.
house is in it.
so now we missed that chance to, before that would have gone back to get a buyout there. But,
Because I've seen the water up to the doors.
yeah.
I've seen the water over that intersection,
Really?
yeah. On the highway.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to see that anytime soon. That'll be up to our building.
Amen.
So, yeah, I don't know. Other than that, if anything else, I'm probably forgetting.
Well,
some
your
stuff.
solar looks nice. I was
Solar
out
is
there and
up.
saw it and
We may have one little bit of a headache there, you guys, when you see, and I'm dealing with it. our geothermal, one of the lines got hit. So so far Eagle Point's working with us, but they haven't figured out where it's got, we have no air conditioning in the basement or heat of
Was
the
that,
building.
you mean by lightning or
By one of
something?
the
No.
posts that they got driven or one of the
Footings for
line
that
going to the
solar.
building?
We aren't 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure it's probably one of the posts they drove, because Kiefer came over, we've hooked a line, a hose water to pressurize the system out there to see if we can see a leak pop up, and if it was the trench going out, you'd think you'd see that water come up pretty quick, because it was only trenched 3 feet going out to where the manifold is. So I talked to the former director, and I guess he was totally wrong where he told me the geothermal field lays. That's why we put the solar where we did. Well, Kiefer came and did a triangulation, and he thinks maybe it's one of those poles that are driven in. They drove those in 6 feet deep for the solar. I think Eagle Point's gonna work with us and figure it out, hopefully, but that's something we're still trying to figure out where the break is, so.
Oh, that's a
Isn't
shame.
there a map of that geothermal?
Should have been.
Well, we didn't have one in our office that I could find. Kiefer had one when he came over, because he was the one that originally laid it. And where his map is, those poles are, if it's accurate, are off the, where the line, one of the, so there's 23, I think it is, lines that run out 100 foot long. And those poles would have been a foot off according to this map, but you know how those maps can be. It was a hand drawn thing, so. We're gonna work with Eagle Point on that. So far, it seems like they're willing to work with us. They've been in contact with a geothermal company. It just sounds like it's a waiting game to get somebody in there that knows how to fix it, because it's something. Kiefer's can't even fix, they said. It's something out of their realm. They don't know how to fix that. They can work on the machines inside, but they can't go out and do the piping and.
What a
patch it.
shame.
So,
Is it something that can be spliced?
well, that's what we're hoping.
Or go around it?
We're really hopeful. And I'm hoping they didn't count piling through it 5 times.
Well, yeah,
Amen.
and if it's a case where you can
Um,
shut down one line or something and.
so that is what, one suggestion from Keepers was that he goes, well, I think our units are 10-ton unit for the whole 2 units in the basement. And he said, with the lines we have set out there, I think we have 12 tons worth of. So he said, we can splice that line. You may have to turn the workroom either cooling down or, you know, heat down in the winter and cooling down in summer, which fine with us, not that big deal, just so you're not working the units too hard, but that is our cheapest option if it falls back on the county. God, I hope it doesn't fall back on us. That's,
Yeah, keep working on it.
Amen.
so that was the one thing, but the solar is fully functional. We're waiting on Alliant to hook it up or to give the okay to flip the switch. Sounds like maybe end of this month, sometime in September, maybe when we can flip the switch and that'll run off the solar there. So that's good news. So, yeah, bad news and good news.
Yeah.
All at once, but I guess that's why I took this job, to have a headache at times. So, yeah, I
One more
don't,
question. I see that we got to purchase a grapple bucket and a stump grinder.
we haven't received the stump grinder yet.
Interesting.
Um, we did the grapple bucket. It was demo unit, I believe it was,
Yeah.
from Raiders. So it was what, $6,000 or $600 less than a brand new unit, but with a little bit of minor scratches, and it has a little bent piece of metal, but it'll work great for us. The board approved the bid on the stump grinder, which was a little more than I thought it was gonna be. I haven't heard anything from Raiders. They were supposed to be looking into.
Is that a self-contained unit or is that on the front of a skid loader too?
That'll be on front of the skid loader. So
And that will have enough power and everything you need.
I hope so. I've run one when I worked for the state, and we'd take down,
I'll
you know,
tell you what,
50-inch stumps, but
did you get to demo it before you I've got a spot. There's just 6 small stumps.
Yeah,
If you wanna try it out.
At the Andrew Jackson Care.
Nice
Oh.
level spot.
we always work with Marty. Once we get it, he can borrow it whenever he wants.
Well, now be careful.
Yeah.
So,
Say whatever.
yeah,
Well, it would be a nice level spot to try it out. They're not real big, you know,
Yeah.
of course, they're.
well, and it'd probably be good to try it, because I don't think we want to run it in the campground when there's other campers and stuff. Till fall when we shut
I
down.
mean, the gentleman that's been doing it for us been treating us real well, but.
Yeah,
It's a spot you wanna practice.
yep, so, I don't know when we'll get it. It sounds like, it's like everything else with COVID, all that equipment and everything is slow
Backed up, yeah.
coming on that end, so that'll be kind of a neat piece of equipment. Yeah, so that,
I mean, there's so many trees down in
oh,
Spruce Creek. that-
we got stumps everywhere.
Yeah.
So, we just got finished. I wrote a letter on the core master plan. I don't know if you guys had any, since we are core. We, half our areas on over by the river are core owned. We had to put our input on how they changed wording on core master plan. I pretty much worded it. I wanted to keep our stuff the same in the way they write their things, so we don't have any more headaches coming our way. So that'll be something, that we'll see what the core does, if there's any changes there, but that comes down to the current on the board. On how we can manage and not manage our areas, so, but. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else new or exciting in the last month. I don't know, if it's something you guys want. I'll keep coming every month, but I'm wondering if we want to do quarterly and I can just give you an update on her
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely.
That way she can keep out in the field and having a morning.
Whatever works for the two of you.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem coming in. It's for her, I feel like maybe she's more productive than me. She's out doing something.
I would bet so.
So, yeah, so, yeah, I don't have anything
Okay.
too new. So if you guys have any questions for
Thank
us?
you. No,
Well,
Awesome.
maybe just keep us posted when you do get that machine in, or if it's, you know, when it's coming,
Yeah.
otherwise.
We'll talk, I
We
would just call
decide when the
Scott.
trees are all down that we wanna go hire somebody yet, or what we wanna do there.
I wouldn't hire anything. We got a couple, we'll get our scheduler out and we'll try it out. So, especially if they're only,
They're probably 14 inch, I
Yeah.
guess, so.
we're planning on using it on stumps like this,
No,
so.
these are gonna be right
Or-
on flat. It's right flat, nice and flat, and-
Yeah. You know, if he can mow around for a little while
yeah.
and wait, so,
that'll be great.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Thanks. Okay. Boards and commissions, any reports from anybody?
I just got one from conservation. So.
Yeah, no, we got that updated. Housing trust fund we had last week, everything is running smoothly, and they're using, even with the housing project, what am I trying to think of, the
Pocket neighborhood.
Rocket neighborhood, yeah, that's all seems to be coming together. I think there's 2 left.
One, what I heard.
Well, that was, yeah, I don't know for sure, but that's what they-
I know that there were 2, but I'd heard they had an offer on one of them, so maybe
Okay.
that's.
So that's all good. I don't know if you're down. Are you going into unfinished business too? Yeah, ready?
Yep, I am.
Okay. So as far as the sprinkler system at Andrew, the inspection was done, and I sent the report that I got to both of you. and
Yeah, yep.
Seen that, so there's a little work we need to be done there.
And I think we should just proceed with it.
Yeah, I think there's no choice, that we have to keep it up to code,
Absolutely.
up to code for the personnel we have there, and the generator did lock out again. Mike come over there again, and he said he took the brushes out of the starter, and he said, I don't know how he knows this, but he said they're original from 1977. So he says he's looking to try to find, of course, because this generator is about new. To find a rebuild kit for it, and if he can't find a rebuild kit for it, he'll have to.
Rich's electric up here is really good at finding stuff.
I will talk to Mike, but Mike's pretty good about that. Yeah. So I talked to Jared and he's aware of it and he's good with Mike coming over there. So hopefully we get that as updated and we don't have that issue with it kicking out. It must just kick out when it starts and then it defaults. I mean, you can automatically clear the default, but it might work 2 or 3 times after that and then 2 weeks later default again.
Are you gonna contact the sprinkler company to get that
I
right done?
will give Matt the okay. If that's okay with everybody. I think there's no choice. Matt sent the email, so I'll.
I saw that, yeah.
Well, Mississippi Valley Workforce, we've had several meetings. I have another one this afternoon on my way to Des Moines. I'll be in Muscatine and then head up to Des Moines, but yesterday at their board meeting, they did hire their Title I one-stop operator. And Equus is going to do that as well. And so there was a group of 5 that read the application and that's who they recommended. And then let's see. Limestone Bluffs, RC&D. Lori's been busy.
Yeah, she has.
There's that.
Some good things going on there.
Yeah, there is some good things going on. I did call the Moores about their revolving loan fund, but she said that they hadn't contacted her, so maybe they had some money and we didn't give them as much that they asked for. And this could have made up that $50,000 difference.
Oh.
But I did call and talk to them and said that they should get, and she knew Lori and so anyway. But
Where would be in review?
How would you know?
what did you ask?
BMW, are we all square with that when we?
I know that I saw the mortgage come through to ECIA, and I know that Jack had made a comment too, when Roger and Matt were here. So we know that the mortgage has been done, to ECIA. As far as the life insurance policy, I would assume that that's done the same way. We wouldn't know.
But we did tell them that we didn't think that was the way it should be done.
Yeah, and I
I mean,
don't
it's
think
not their
anything-
money, it's our money to loan out.
Yeah.
And they needed to change it so that we were the beneficiary, not them.
Well, that's kind of where we're at. I don't think anything got done. So,
I'll have to check on it again.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other business to come before the meeting today?
Do we have a work session this afternoon or did that get canceled or we?
Hope not, because I have to be in Muscatine.
Okay, when is it? When are we going up to the hospital?
That's the
next-
31st.
That's next Tuesday.
Why do I put it in my calendar on the wrong day?
Well, because you misunderstood the
I was on vacation, that's why.
Jack, would you
Oh,
have
right.
time this morning to talk to the state auditors? They are here. What time do you need to leave by?
as soon as possible,
Okay,
because I have another meeting about Nick's replacement.
okay.
No, I do have it. on the right day.
We may have to do it via Zoom or something because she wanted to do this entrance. I know that you
Well,
got
can
a
I go
picture.
right now
Yes,
after we're done?
yes.
If there's
yes.
no further business, I'd make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
And I will go down there.